Hello, everybody. Welcome so much. Welcome so much. Welcome. I'm so happy you're here. Jill, I can hear myself through you. A little bit loud. Um, but also, hi. First time streaming on YouTube. So if it's a little bit janky, I'm sorry. We're gonna get better at this, but thank you so much for joining me. Good morning for people over on this side of the pond. Good evening for everyone else. Good everything else. Super excited to be reviewing your ideas, titles, and thumbnails today. We've got a lot of submissions. We're gonna go through as many as we can in the 90 minutes that we have. And today I am joined by my creative producer, Joel. Joel, he's here in person, which is just like really so wild. Do you want to say anything to the chatters?
Everyone, just excited for the live stream, excited to be here. Some great submissions already, and yeah, let's get to it.
Woohoo! So yeah, Joel's going to be supporting a lot through the live chat, but also Joel has helped me so much with my own ideas, titles, and thumbnails. He workshops them a lot. We work on them together at this point, so I might tap him in occasionally for his own thoughts on the ideas, titles, and thumbnails that we are reviewing today. I see people in the chat. Hello, Melvin. Hey, Killer Chronicles. Hello, Jack, Sudarshan, Ashley, Eakin, Missin, and Erica. Hello, hello. Thank you so much for being here. And yeah, let's just jump into it. So for context, why are we doing this? Well, one, it's always fun to chat video ideas, titles, and thumbnails, but it's especially fun right now because something that Spotter Studio is putting on, which is their Ideation Summit Challenge. And if you haven't heard, it's truly one of the craziest things. Like, I still can hardly believe that this is actually real. Like, look at this slide. Do you see this? Like, that's like Colin and Samir, Jon Youshaei, me, all put together. It's truly mind-boggling. But to give you some context, Spotter Studio is hosting a ideation contest. Essentially, you are submitting your best ideas, and the top 9 ideas, the people with the top 9 ideas, will be flown all the way to Los Angeles for an in-person ideation summit at a creator campus in Los Angeles called the Lighthouse, which is a super, super cool place. It has a lot of like gear and studio space. And there you're going to meet and collaborate with Colin and Samir, Jon, and myself. That's going to be happening in April. So all that we're doing today, or kind of the purpose of what we're doing today, is trying to get your ideas to the best that they can possibly be so that when you submit them into the contest, they're good to go, because hopefully I want all of you guys to win. Again, like Jon and Colin Samir, their audiences are great, but I really want you guys to win and be there. So I'm here to just help in any way I can to get those up to the best level they can for submission. Thank you so much, Silver JKS. I really, really appreciate it. Ideas for what? Any sort of video ideas. And so the things that we're going to be judging on, actually, we'll go to the next slide here for some context. So basically how it works, one, you create a Spotter Studio account. Then you're going to submit 10 plus ideas to the idea bank. And I can show you guys what that looks like. So let's see if I remove this, add this, boom, Spotter Studio. This is what Spotter Studio looks like. And kind of over here in the ideas tab, you'll be able to see ideas, and you can add as many ideas as you want. Right now, I just have 2. So you have to add 10 ideas here, and then click share with experts on like the 1 or 2 of them that you want to submit to the contest, your very best ones. And those are the ones that are going to be submitted. In terms of ideas overall, it can be really anything you want. Let me go back to this. When it comes to the ideas themselves, they're going to be judged primarily on 1, originality, so how original is the idea, 2, impact. And impact can come from things like storytelling, like, okay, how impactful is your storytelling? It can come from how impactful is the value that you're providing if it's an educational video. So those are the types of things that we're going to be looking at. Also, is it feasible? Because if you're selected to win, you're going to be making your idea and then bringing that finished video to the summit in April to get feedback on your idea from Colin, Samir, Jon, and myself. So that's kind of what we're looking for. Hopefully that clears that up. And yeah, so you just submit your best idea. The top 9 people will be selected, and I'll see you guys in LA. And that's kind of the overall process there. So if that all sounds good, let's get started. Let's take a look at these ideas. We received a lot of idea submissions, which I think is absolutely amazing. We'll go through as many as we can. And yeah, all we ask is that just a couple ground rules. One, no, I guess like spamming the chat to ask if your video can be reviewed. We'll get through as many as we can in the 90 minutes that we have. Joel's here to support as well, like adding more. Honestly, I have no idea how many we'll be able to get through, but we're just gonna go for it. And then number 2, I know you guys probably have a lot of questions about like everything. But I would prefer to keep the questions that you ask relevant to either the Spider Studio Ideation Summit or to the specific ideas, titles, and thumbnails that we are reviewing at the time. So if that all sounds good, let's get into it. Let me start with the first one. So let's take a look at some of the things we have here. And let's start with, let's just go with this one that I see right here. View project. All right. So here is a title and thumbnail submission that we have from Adam. Adam, thank you so much for submitting. So here we have the concept of, to prove the power of payoffs, a teacher builds suspense by promising to let a student pepper spray him. Insane. Turning a painful stunt into a masterclass on why theory about stories, especially delivering on big promises, keeps students hooked. So overall, I think when I'm going to go through these, I'm going to go through idea, then title, then thumbnail, or kind of idea, then packaging. When I'm thinking about this idea as a whole, honestly, I really like it. I think it's quite creative. I think it's quite original. It does certainly have that like shock factor of like, wait, you let a student pepper spray you? Are you actually going to get pepper sprayed? I think those questions that I think about when I first look at this, those open curiosity gaps, curiosity loops. And so essentially questions are created in my mind. Why did you do this? What's going to happen? Are you going to be okay? Does it actually happen? And those questions prompt me to click because I want to learn the answers to those questions. So overall, as an idea, I think it's quite spectacular. I really like this. I think it's a strong idea. For the packaging itself, I let a student pepper spray me. I think that it's a very simple title and I really like it. There's something that Patty Galloway likes to say, which is, there's no boring way to tell someone that you won the lottery, which is the concept that if you have a particularly novel or interesting idea, you want to get across idea in as simple as a way as possible. And even like trying to get fancy with it can detract from the shock value and spectacle of the idea itself. So in this case, I really like the title that you have. I let a student pepper spray me. I think it's very clear. And it just instantly gets that message across. So I think so far 2 out of 2, idea check, title check. Now let's look at the thumbnail. And I know that this is a thumbnail mockup. Spotter Studio allows you to come up with really awesome thumbnail mockups that can help generate for you. We use it quite a bit, I would say, just in terms of inspiration. And then we'll take that inspiration and make a physical thumbnail based off of that inspiration. So here we have a thumbnail concept. And this is where I think we have some room for tweaking here. I think that like this particular framing seems very posed, right? You have someone looking directly at a camera, then like a hand pepper spraying. It looks very, like artificial and very posed. I think for something of this spectacle and magnitude, it would be quite interesting to see what I call a moment thumbnail. And a moment thumbnail, this is, by the way, an infographic that I've created as part of my thumbnail video. Joelle can probably list where to get these infographics that I like share along the way in the chat. But over here, we can see moment thumbnail, and that like offers a glimpse into the moment right before a powerful reaction. Someone who does this quite well is Kelly Wakasa. I know this is like tiny, but you can kind of see this thumbnail here. He's like reaching for his girlfriend, Ashley, and you can see like, oh, like what's going to happen right after this. And that's like very much in the moment. Another person who does moment thumbnails quite well is Mark Rober. So we can look him up. I know Mark Rober does moment thumbnails often. I'll show you another example. Something like this, right? So it's like candy thieves versus rigged candy bowl. And you can see that there's like a arrow and circle pointed to people stealing candy. And so it's the moment right before a powerful reaction, a moment right before something is going to happen. So I think going back to this one that we were looking at, I would like to see a moment thumbnail there. So maybe it's like you and like a student holding a pepper spray can that's like pointed at you and you're like wincing or something. And there's like a circle of like on top of the pepper spray can, maybe like an arrow to it. And then just that moment, like right before they actually spray you, is going to be the moment that people click for. They're clicking for all the questions. They're clicking to see what happens in that exact moment and what will happen after that exact moment. So that's probably the advice and like feedback that I would give to this one. But Adam, I don't know if you're in the chat right now, but hopefully that was helpful. And honestly, great work. I really, really like this one. Let's see. Delete project. We've done this one. Yay. All right. Next up, let's go back to art in development. Okay. Let's see. Maybe we can do this one next. Kind of like changing niches a bit. So I see how I'm learning 3 languages at the same time. And then like a bunch of letters. I can't tell if they're supposed to be emojis or flags or just like country codes, I suppose. This one is from, I don't know if I'm going to pronounce your name correctly, but Meiji. I'm so sorry if I'm mispronouncing this. But it's going to be a video about how I'm learning Chinese, Japanese, and Korean at the same time. That's wild. My study methods, challenges, and how I balance multiple languages in my daily routine. Let's think about idea. Idea itself, I also really like this idea. I think, again, there's, when I think about this idea in general, I'm like, wow, okay, you're learning 3 languages at once. That's quite impressive. I also think that it's something that I'm so curious about, and I think a lot of people are curious about. I think language learning is a quite universal concept as well. Most people have thought about learning a different language before, and the promise of learning 3 languages is, I would say, quite attractive overall. So in terms of the idea, great idea. I am certainly very intrigued here. Now we're going to look at the packaging. So I think like this is where we get a little bit of opportunity to tweak and maybe start to optimize things. I think I see one, let's start with the title. So it's how I'm learning 3 languages at the same time, and then some country codes and an emoji. I don't think the country codes translate very well in this title. I think it takes a while to understand what exactly they are. And on YouTube, you only have like a split second for people to fully understand what your title is saying. So I would probably take those out. Additionally, I would say there's perhaps some room to tweak the title phrasing to maybe make it more action oriented. So maybe for instead of how I'm learning 3 languages at the same time, it could be I tried learning 3 languages at the same time. Maybe I tried learning 3 languages at the same time. Here's what happened. Or even how to learn 3 languages at the same time. That like slight shifting in title framing is just a bit more action oriented. The latter of those with the how to makes the value more clear even to the viewer itself about, oh, they're going to get all of this out of the video. And the I tried format, I think, is just very familiar in YouTube, and people understand that it's going to be like even just framing it like I tried insinuates that the thing that you're trying is going to be challenging and difficult and hard, which prompts people to click more because they want to see whether or not you succeed. So learning 3 languages at the same time. There's supposed to be flag emojis at the end. Got it. Yeah, I think even with the flag emojis at the end, though, I would typically aim for, if you want to have an emoji in a title, try to just put one in there. Too many can get a little bit overwhelming. I think our brains are wired to, if we see too many emojis all at once, just kind of like glance over them, almost like glancing over like a link or like a hashtag at this point, because we're like, oh, this is just like extra stuff. So I think one emoji, probably maximum for most titles, is going to do you well. It's just a little bit of emphasis without tricking the brain to just skim over and like stop paying attention at that point. In terms of learning 3 languages at the same time, ing words like learning, those are called gerunds. I'm not the biggest fan of gerunds in titles. They're just a little bit more passive. Instead of learning 3 languages at the same time, I'd usually rather see I tried learning 3 languages at the same time, or how to learn 3 languages at the same time, instead of having that like ing word as the first word of the title. I don't know if that's a personal preference thing, but in general, I try to stay away from those in general. Okay, so that's overall title thoughts I have for you. Let's move on to the thumbnail. I love that you're on this thumbnail. I think it's like it's so, because I can like clearly see this picture of like, oh, like you are going to be the one I'm watching learn these languages. And I love that you're there. I love this picture of you. I think it's great. Now, in terms of the thumbnail itself, I like also having the flags there. I think that's another reason why you don't need all of the emojis in the titles, because you already have the flags within the thumbnail. And so you kind of know, oh, these are the languages that we're going to be learning. If I were to give some, I guess, feedback or constructive feedback on this thumbnail, I would say, one, it's just a little bit low contrast. So right now, kind of big on my screen, you might be able to make everything out. Something else I like about this Spotter Studio tool is the preview tool. So I click over here, I can kind of see what this looks like on different views, like homepage and other things. So this is homepage. You can see once it gets a little bit smaller, you start to lose out a little bit on like the white wording that's over here against like the light gray background. They start to go away. And then we can even look at what it looks like in the suggested panel. You can kind of see teeny tiny on the suggested panel. A lot of those words just start to go away, and it's kind of hard to read the words. In general, though, like this is still pretty legible at this size, just like the small details. So things I would think about here for this thumbnail is maybe just try to do a little bit more contrast. Either make the background slightly darker. I honestly like the light background though. I think it brings more attention to the forefront, to you, and to the words. So I'd probably just darken the other text instead of the text, like the how and the languages here being white. I would maybe darken those. This blue, I know like the blue matches your shirt, which is like a quite nice aesthetic, but maybe I would darken that just a tad more, at least on the text, to make it slightly more legible. But overall, I think this is like a quite solid idea. I think just some tweakings with the title and a little bit of tweakings with the thumbnails as well is, yeah, I think this is a great idea. Joel, do you have anything to add for this one?
Hey guys. Awesome. So as Aprilynne was just saying, I think this is a really strong thumbnail. I really liked it when I first saw the initial submission. She mentioned it could use a little bit more contrast. Another, I guess, suggestion I'd put in there is to maybe consider too, similar to like a moment thumbnail as well, where like we can see you studying or see you in the action, or potentially even seeing, I'm assuming there's something different that you do to learn 3 languages at once versus what someone might do just to learn 1. So if you can highlight what that is, that would create a really strong curiosity gap for the viewer of, ooh, I wonder what I can do to maybe learn 3 languages at once as well. So I think that's a good one, but overall, great job. And I think, yeah, with just like those couple of tweaks, it has really good potential.
Yay! No, I mean, I like that. Thank you, Joel. I'll just be popping back and forth throughout. Yeah, no, I honestly really like that suggestion as well, of having, you know, maybe like an alternative version instead of just you existing within blank space, like you within the immersive environment of studying. So I can just kind of envision like you maybe like with headphones on, maybe like in a library looking at some books, and then like around your head there's like the Chinese flag, Japanese flag, Korean flag, and they're all just like around you as you're studying, I think that would also be like a very attractive thumbnail that I would definitely want to see a variation of. So thank you so much, Joelle. And hopefully that was helpful. Thank you so much for your submission. All right. There we go. Let's go into the next one. Do a live stream every month. Oh, thank you so much for the donation, Six Shop. I'm so glad that you're liking it. And honestly, yeah, if you guys give good feedback on this one, if you like it, we can certainly bring this around to be a regular thing. If you guys like it. Also, I see people in the chat saying check mine. No, don't do that. We're going to go through as many as we can, but please do not spam the chat asking for yours to be reviewed. Joelle is like going through and adding more to this board as we go through them. We're going to go through as many as we can in the 90 minutes. If you ask for yours to be checked too many times, we will ban you, but not in like an aggressive way, but in a friendly way. Yeah, just like a nice little like timeout. But I'm glad you guys are enjoying this. Just wrote that because it's not against the rule. Don't check mine. See, you're thinking one step ahead. All right, let's go with the next one. Let's see. Okay. Let's do this one I have right in front of me. This one next. Okay, here we have this next submission from I'm gonna say Aiden. Sorry again if I'm mispronouncing this. And discussing Ross and Rachel's relationship in Friends. So overall idea, I think the idea is also a good and interesting idea as a whole. I think that I know there's a lot of contention around Ross and Rachel and Friends. Overall, when I think about idea, I also think about kind of view potential of this idea. How many people are aware of the topic that's being talked about? So in this case, a whole lot of people know about Friends, and anyone who knows about Friends will know about Ross and Rachel. So I think in terms of view potential and overall audience interest and potential audience interest and awareness, this is good. So I like that when I think about the idea itself. Now let's look at packaging. When you look at packaging, first thing that comes to mind, I love this thumbnail. You killed it on this thumbnail. Honestly, like I love you can just so immediately tell it's their relationship. I love the expressions you picked for them for this like screen grab. I love this little like camera overlay that you have because it's a TV show. And I love the word toxic and just how the whole thing is framed. And how it's like kind of a mix between like above and behind them. So honestly, I think you killed this thumbnail. I really like this thumbnail in general. Crystal saying The Office is better than Friends. Joelle would agree with you. I wouldn't. I've never seen The Office, but I am a big Friends fan. So yeah, I really like this thumbnail. Yeah, it's definitely a strong thumbnail. You know what it's about an instant. Absolutely. Key to bite, 100%. So idea good, thumbnail good. Now let's talk about the title. I think this is where we can see room for improvement within this video concept. Ross and Rachel were a toxic match. You're not really like it tells you what the video is about, but it doesn't really give you a reason to care. Also, you already have the word toxic in such big prominent letters in the thumbnail itself. I would say you don't need to repeat that same word in the title because it's already there within the thumbnail. We can use the title to complement the thumbnail instead of just kind of repeating what we're already seeing. So instead, I would kind of frame it towards what is like a curiosity gap that we can open. So for example, it can be something along the lines of like the worst relationship in television history. Whether or not you agree with that, a title like that is like, ooh, okay, we're talking about the worst relationship. I like superlatives in titles because it gives you that sense of like, oh, like we're really going to get into the novelty of like, this is the worst thing. And then that's when you can look into that. You see the worst relationship in television history. You see that it complements the thumbnail because you can see the word toxic and you know who is going to be talking about. And then when you click, you're going to click into like, oh, like why that prompts the question, who was the worst relationship and why are they the worst? Like, what is it about their relationship that is so bad to be categorized? Ooh, I also like why you were wrong about Ross and Rachel from Killer Chronicles. I like that as well. That the framing of like, that's the what's it called? I guess the counterintuitive angle, like why you're wrong about something, also tends to do quite well within titles. So Killer Chronicles, I like that suggestion as well. Title makes me want to click now, actually. The worst relationship one. Awesome. Friends is a bigger audience. Office is better. There you go. So yeah, that's probably the only thing I would change about this whole concept. Just the title, I would tweak. Think about like what is the curiosity gap you want to create? Is it coming from like what is the worst relationship? Is it coming from why are you wrong about something? That's what I would change. But like overall, again, Aiden, great job on this. I really like you have a very, very, again, this thumbnail, spot on, amazing, incredible job. All right, that's that one. Back to the list of ideas. Also, Joelle, it would be useful, I don't know if you're already doing this, but so I have some notes open as well. If you'd like highlight the line of the thing that I'm looking at, would be so useful.
Sure. Yep.
Okay. Thank you guys. So let's move on to a next one. Let's see. Okay. I really want to talk about this one. This one, when I first saw it in the submissions, I was like, wow. This one is from Michael Andrew. Thank you so much for your submission, Michael Andrew. So, oh, hey, Florin. Nice to see you in the chat. So this is going to be a talking head of how style tells your story without using a word by silhouette, structure, construction, and character, and how it can change your self-perception and the perception of others. This as an idea, I also really, really like, which I think is like a good sign. So far, like all of these ideas, like great ideas, you guys. You guys are submitting some really good ideas. The reasons why I like this idea, just in terms of, I think the originality and value of it, I think that there's a really big information gap that most people have in terms of style. I think a lot of people are aware that fashion and style exists, but most people don't really know how to best use it or are still struggling to find their own style. And I love that you can like kind of break down the elements of style within this video. I mean, even just like your description of it, I can tell how valuable this is just from the description of this video. Like I would watch this video. I need this video. I have no sense of style. Help me. But really, I think this is such an interesting concept. I love the idea. So idea, good, great job, Michael Andrew. Now let's look at the packaging itself. So let's talk about the thumbnail first. And some things pop into mind here. I do quite like the different outfits that are there. Something I would think about is right now there doesn't seem to be very much variation within these outfits. So if you're thinking about the concept of like how your style affects the way in which you're perceived, I would maybe do like 4 very different outfits. And so the viewer can instantly see that and kind of have that intuition of, oh, this is what it looks like when I see this one. This is how I feel when I see this one. This is what I think when I see this one. And this is what I assume when I see this one. And so they like initially get that sense of, oh, I feel different looking at these different outfits, so that when I click, I'm going to learn how that works and why that works and how I can use those principles to make an outfit that like I feel represents me. So I like the composition of the 4 different outfits. I would just change what those outfits are. Also, just in terms of a little bit of contrast, I like the like vignette type of thing that you have going on. I don't think it contrasts maybe as well as it could with the outfits themselves. Because really what in this type of thumbnail, I think about like main character and supporting character. The main character of this thumbnail is going to be the outfits themselves. So we really want those to pop. Right now, if I glance at it, the like dark background kind of takes my eye, and then I look at the outfits. So I would lighten that up a bit, and maybe instead of like a red tone, because I know a lot of your outfits themselves are like the reds and purples, I would contrast that with something like a dark like hunter green or something, so that the reds and purples pop a little bit more against that. So that's kind of thoughts on thumbnail background outfits. I I do like the no words needed, but there's a problem with where it's placed. And we can see that if we look at the preview. So if we look at, let's say, let's go home. Right now, it doesn't show, but you can see kind of where this timestamp is in other videos. The timestamp is going to be right here. So it's going to cover up your word needed. It's going to happen in the homepage. It's also going to happen in the suggested panel as well. You can see here that the timestamps are a lot bigger in the suggested panel. So almost all of the word needed is going to be covered by this timestamp in suggested. A quick fix I would say for that is just flip-flop where this is. This goes for most thumbnails, you guys. So not just for this one, but in general, if you have thumbnail text, avoid thumbnail text being on the bottom right. In general, it's better to have the thumbnail text on the top of your thumbnail and then other things towards the bottom, just to make sure that your text never gets cut off. So I would just kind of flip where these are, put the words on the top and then the outfits on the bottom. So that's my idea on thumbnail for you, Michael, Andrew. Now let's talk about title. Ironic, this is no words needed. I like the no words needed because again, like you look at them and you understand, again, especially if these are different, you understand what you assume about each person depending on the outfit without any words. So now let's look at the title itself, how to tell your story without saying a word. This is where I think we can have like a lot of room for improvement because your story is, I would say, a bit broad and generic. Like, what are you talking about with your story? And it's like how to tell your story without saying a word. I want you to talk about style. I want you to mention style within the title of this because that's what a lot of people are struggling with, and that's what a lot of the value will come from. And also, it's like I think without saying a word, no words needed. I'm trying to think if any specific titles come to mind. I don't think they do, but yeah, I would want to see the word style within it. Maybe something along the lines of like, this is a bad title. Don't use this title, but like, how style affects how people perceive you. That's a bad title. Don't use that. But like that's the overall vibe I think I would want from this title. Yeah, I think we can also look at this is an infographic I like to use when thinking about different types of loops. These are just like a few different options, but like one could be like an authority angle of like if you are like a stylist, like pro styler reveals how to create your own style, or like pro stylist reveals something else related to the topic of this. I like maybe like numbers because this is a talking head video as well. You mentioned, and you talked about the let's see, like you're talking about silhouette, structure, construction, and character. So maybe like four ways your like four ways to blank through style could be something you could do because you can like instantly tell what that value is when you click on the video as well. So that's something I would maybe consider with the title. I know that's not as like specific of feedback in terms of just giving you a title that you could use, but hopefully that's helpful. If anyone else has any like ideas for this title, you can put them in the chat as well. How to tell your story and style. I don't love the word story within this particular title because I think it's not clear enough what that means. Like what is your story? Like there's just like just because it's not instantly like, aha, I know exactly what you're talking about. It's not quite clear enough. So that's the concepts I would try there. So, and Andrew, again, great job. Again, I'm excited for this video. I would watch this video. I think it's really useful. I just think some tweaks with the thumbnail and title, and you're there. Love it. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. We'll delete this one. And let's see. Wow, that was like 35 minutes. We're half an hour in already, so a third of the way through. Let's go over here, and since we're a third of the way through, just want to remind you guys why we're doing all of this, which is one, for fun, because I just think that this is so fun. First time doing it, and like hopefully you're enjoying this too and find it useful in some way. It's a great way to like get you guys value on the things that you're doing without just like looking at videos themselves, hopefully like applying some of the tactics that you're using in videos, but also because you can win a trip to LA, sponsored by Spotter Studio, to just like come out and meet and collaborate with Colin and Samir, Jon Youshaei, and myself. And all you need to do is just create a Spotter Studio account. It's free. There's like a free trial. As long as you just submit your ideas before your free trial ends, you're good to go. You're entered. And just submit 10 ideas to your idea bank, and then share the one that you want with the people being us, I suppose. I'll show you what I mean. In Spotter Studio, if you just go to ideas and then just add 10 within here and share the one or two you want to submit to the contest by clicking share with experts, that's how you enter. Super easy. And the top 9 people will be flown out to LA for the Spotter Studio Idea Summit. And you'll get to meet me. And you'll also hopefully get to see Joelle. And it'll be a good time. So yeah, that's what we're doing. All the things that we're doing. Okay, let's continue. Let's keep this baby going. Are there going to be more of these thumbnail reviews? If you like these, I'm down. If you, because like, again, we got a lot of submissions. We're definitely not going to get through all of them today, but yeah, if you like this, we can make this a more regular thing. All right, moving on. Let's do this one. Okay. This is fun, like hearing the thought process. You like these. Awesome. Are you only reviewing ideas submitted to Spotter Studio? No. So we're taking all of the ideas that were submitted to us through the Google Forms, and then Joelle is just kind of putting them to Spotter Studio so I can display them in like a neat way versus just kind of like clicking through a Google sheet. I feel like this is a more attractive way to present the titles and thumbnails that we see. So yeah, just as long as you fill out the form, those are the ones that we're pulling from. So here we see entry from Sabi. Sabi, thank you so much. And we see this is like a documentary giving value on how I wrote my first book. When it comes to the idea, I love this idea. Again, you guys are killing it on the ideas so far. I think that this is so interesting. And it's so intriguing. Again, it's when we think about audience interest, so many people have dreamed about writing a book, and giving it's like your first book. So many people have like, they want to write a book and they'd be so interested in, oh, like, how do you write your first book? So I think overall as an idea, it has a very high view potential. I really like it as an idea itself. So I see like idea, good. Let's take a look at packaging. Let's take a look at the thumbnail first, because I quite like your thumbnail. I like that we see you in action, like you in the process of writing. It gives very like writer-y vibes. I like kind of the framing of you in the middle and like the stack of books. I like the crumpled paper on either side of you. This crumpled piece of paper down here might get covered a bit by a timestamp. I think if I were to like one type of thing you could be to just kind of flip this if you could, so that the stack of books was on the right side, because that way when it gets covered by the timestamp you can still see what it is, versus the crumpled paper gets covered by the timestamp, you kind of don't know what it is. So if you flip it, the timestamp doesn't get in your way as much. The other thing I would maybe consider tweaking, if you were to retake this compositionally wise, is just get a little bit more desk in the picture so you can see more of the notebook that you're writing on. Because like this act of writing, I like how long the pencil is too. I think that's great because you can really see, oh, you're writing, but that's probably something that I would do. Also, I would consider changing the color of the pencil so it just pops against you a bit more. Like a yellow pencil, I think would pop against the red of your shirt more than the black that kind of blends in. And when we thinking about like main character, support characters, main character, I would say is like you in the act of writing. So we want you clear, we want the pencil clear, we want the notebook clear. Everything else is supporting characters. I do like no experience. I would also maybe like first time writer or first time author, but I like no experience a lot, or like never done this before. But like no experience as a like supplementary thumbnail text, I do quite like. I would just make it a tad bigger. You do have like extra space to go a bit bigger within this, so I would just blow it up just a bit so it's easier to read. Again, we could check the preview tool in the suggested panel. The text just gets quite small and is a little bit hard to read, so just blow it up just a bit. But overall, Sabi, I think that like this is a great thumbnail in general. I think it has like a lot of like you're doing a lot of the right things here. So like very well done on the thumbnail there. Not a fan of the background. Yeah, like I was the background is something where like in a perfect world, I mean, I guess you still could do this. I would maybe blur the background just like a tad. The background is a little bit busy, but on the flip side, I could see that even being a draw. Cause it's like, oh, like you're not in like a professional, I don't know, writing studio, office, like well lit space, because you're a novice. It's your first time, maybe you're at just like your kitchen table and you're writing away. And that's a little bit more relatable. And so when I see that, it's like, oh, like it seems like a regular room in a regular house. I actually do kind of like it. I could see both ways. One, it's like, oh, it's a little bit like, not as attractive for a thumbnail. You might want to blur just a tiny bit. On the other side, it makes you more relatable. So I think you could go both ways there. So yeah, okay. Now let's look at the title. How I wrote my first book documented. So I think that's where we can see more of the room for improvement here. Again, I love the idea, but for a lot of people, they care more about themselves than they care about you. So I would be interested to see how can you present kind of, what the value is. Documented, I'm trying to think if this is like a power word within the I also, yeah, I guess I would consider what type of video this is. You mentioned that it is a documentary. Is this like a more like cinematic type of video? If it is, then I would look in like the YouTube new wave to see what sort of power words. When I say power words, I'll tell you guys what I mean there. This is like a list of just like generic power words. So power words are words that like within title tend to draw interest or kind of like tickle a psychological part of our brains that make us feel things and want to click. So there are a lot of different types of power words. You have like emotional power words, authority power words, urgency power words, exclusivity power words. These are all great power words to use depending on the content, depending on your video. But there are also niche specific power words. So like in finance, you could see like the word millionaire or like broke are power words that tend to overperform within that niche. So in your case, Sabi, I would think about like, oh, like depending on the video that you're making, if it's like a cinematic one, look at like cinematic YouTube new wave titles, see if they're using the word documented. That's something I would take a look at. But like how I wrote my first book, I would say like maybe this is how I wrote my first book, or just like I wrote maybe how to write your first book, parentheses, without experience, and then change that thumbnail text. I don't know, Joelle, do you have any other ideas for just like title framing for this one at all?
Awesome. Let me see.
Ooh, I like the truth about writing your first book. Leslie, I like that one a lot. I like that one a lot.
Yes, I think again, like maybe going by the truth, there's just any element that would highlight like a unique experience or something that might breed curiosity in the sense of I didn't expect this to happen when writing my first book. Or any, I guess, unique particularly unique experience, that process of highlighting that versus just writing your first book, of just highlighting, I guess, that specific action of how I got a publisher or why, or certain elements in theirs, I think. Yeah, I think also maybe the behind the scenes angle of here you have documented, but maybe something along the lines of like what really happens when you try to write your first book.
I like that.
I think could be really useful. No one tells you about writing your first book. Could be some unique angles and curiosity gaps there.
Oh, I do like what when no one tells you. Yeah, I mean, I think those are also like power words for the like exclusivity ones, like with the, you know, the truth about or what nobody tells you. Those are, I think, really great insights into this one. So thank you.
My pleasure.
All right. Hopefully this was useful to you, Sabi. Thank you for all of your guys's contributions in the chat as well. Like, honestly, guys, thank you for just being here. Just thank you for being here. Like, I cannot tell you how nervous I was. I was like, what if I like stream and there's nobody here and I'm just talking to myself and hopefully people will still like it and I'll still do it. But just like, thank you for being here. Truly, it's just, and thank you for just like being so active in the chat. Like, it feels fun. This feels really, really fun. Hopefully you guys are having fun too. But just like fun to chat with you guys. 200 people? That's crazy. That's crazy. Okay. But that is that one. Thank you so much, Sabi, for submitting your idea. All right. Let's look at some more. Okay. Ooh, some interesting ones. Let's do, I want to talk about we've done, let's do more of like a educational one. So we've done like vlogs types of things. Let's do this one. Okay, this is from Erica Flores. Thank you so much for your submission, Erica. And this is a video about you don't have to spend buttloads of money on a master's degree in film production to get your foot in the door of the film industry. I didn't go to film school either. I didn't go to film school. Rather, I have a BA in communications, yet I still found success in film and TV and now film scoring. All it takes is preparation, good personality, and knowing where to look for these jobs. Don't know where to start? I'll show you how. So I think from this overall idea, from what I understand, it's kind of about like how to get your foot in the door in film without a film degree, or like a master's degree in film production. I think for an educational video, if I'm looking at, I can show you guys my infographic for ideas. These are part of what I look at when I'm looking at ideas. First, like I verify that your topic has the potential to blow up. So I'm like, okay, like just in terms of audience interest, are there people who would be interested in this idea? Are there people who, and I think the answer is yes. I think there are a lot of people who are interested in getting into film. This is probably not going to be like, it's not going to be like a 50 million view video, but there are still quite a lot of people who are interested in getting into traditional media in that way who would be interested. I also like to look at like criteria over here when thinking about ideas. So it's like feasibility, yes. New audience interest, this is a big one. If someone had no idea who you are, would they still be interested? In this case, yes. view potential, does it have the potential to hit your view goal, whatever that is. In this case, I think that there are a lot of people interested in this. So overall, I think this is a strong idea in and of itself. Not available anywhere, Aprilynne. Yeah, Joelle just linked it in the chat. So as an idea, Erica, I like this. Will she review some ideas from the Google Forms? All of these ideas were from the Google Forms. We've just formatted them and put them into Spotter Studio for the sake of being able to like show it in an appealing way versus just like using Google Sheets. So yeah, overall, as an idea, I like it. Now let's look at the packaging. So here we have a few things. I think let's actually start with the title this time. So this title is The Power of a Communications Degree: How My Degree Opened Doors in Film Production and Music. A few things here. One, in general, I don't love having colons in titles. This is something where if you've ever used ChatGPT to try to help you come up with title ideas, ChatGPT loves adding colons in titles, and it's like, why? Like, don't. It's colons mean that you have like a whole phrase before and a whole phrase after, which is usually going to be too many words to be able to understand in a glance. When I look at a title, I'm like, okay, if I glanced at this and just skimmed it, would I be able to understand what this video about? In this case, I start reading The Power of a Communications Degree, and then I just kind of stop reading at that point if I'm skimming through. So, which again, like the main curiosity from this as well, like the main appeal of your core idea itself and why your idea is so interesting, isn't even related to the communications degree. It's related to getting into the film industry without a film degree or without experience in that way. So I would shift the focus for your title from a communications degree, which narrows down your audience interest, right? A lot of people are interested in getting into film. Not a lot of people have a communications degree in comparison. So I would shift focus away from the communications degree, shift onto getting your foot in the door in film. I see some you guys are on top of it in the chat. Like I see some ideas there as well. Like film industry without a film degree, how I made it in the film industry without a degree. Yes, like I love that framing. How to blank without blank is a pretty solid title format that's been used a lot, and especially in your package, like in your idea itself, I think that is a great direction to take it. It's like, you know, how I got into the film industry without a degree, how I made it in the film industry without a degree, how I got hired in the film industry without a degree. I would maybe see if there's a different way to phrase the film industry in fewer characters if possible, but like that's like the overall direction that I would take this title, and really try to keep it under 55 characters if you can. I can also show you why. So we head to like the preview tool. I know that this is like kind of small. You guys can't really tell, but you know, we can say that how my degree opened ... right? So even within this title as it is, I'll zoom in a little bit so you can see the power, like the way that this shows up in the suggested panel. The reason why I bring up the suggested panel a lot is that this is the smallest your title and thumbnail will ever appear on like any YouTube interface. So this is the one I usually check to see how are things looking. Just from like a glance test of this title and suggested, the power of a communications degree, how my degree opened, we don't even get the film part. So that's also something that I think about when in terms of like title length. If you do have a longer title, which generally I try to avoid, it can work. You can get away with longer titles. If you do though, make sure you have the main point or the main draw of your title in the first half so people can see it. Because we're not even getting that this video is related to film from the title when it's cut off the way that it is in the suggested panel. So that's title. Now let's take a look at the thumbnail itself. Taking a look at everyone's comments. Thanks so much. Yeah, absolutely, Erica. So happy you are finding this useful. Okay, now let's take a look at the thumbnail. So when I think about this, I know that like the three visuals are popular in, let's say, like the vlogging niche, when you want to give people an idea of like the vibe of what people will experience when they click on the video. That's more for like aesthetics for the 3 panels. For you, because it's going to be less of, I would say, like a vlog and more in terms of something that people want to click on to get value for themselves because they want to, get their break in the film industry without a degree, I would change the composition of this. So perhaps instead of 3, I would maybe have like, when I think about a title, sorry, backing up. When I think about a thumbnail, I think about, what are the main characters? What are the supporting characters to support the story that you're trying to tell? In this case, main character would be you looking badass on the job in film, and something that's like visibly a film industry job, and you being like maybe in motion or like doing the thing. I do like you in front of like a piano or like in a studio for that reason, but like I like the idea, like this picture blown up a bit and like being put front and center, that being the base of your thumbnail, I think is quite interesting. And again, it gives people the sense of like, oh, like that authority, she knows what she's talking about because I can see her having a job in the film industry. So I would have that as the main character. In terms of supporting characters, you could have like a little arrow to you, something saying like no film degree or like no experience, or I do like no film degree. I think that's quite interesting to like the contrast of showing you visibly in like a film job, but saying no film degree pointed at you. I think that really gets the point across quite nicely. You like the Warner Bros. Image? The Warner Bros. Image, I don't like as much because it doesn't really show your authority in having a job in the space, right? Because like people could be like a tourist and like see the Warner Bros. Studio and be like, hey, look, I'm outside. Versus like you being in the jobs, like, no, you have the authority, you know what you're talking about, you're already there. The other thing I would say about this thumbnail is in terms of the thumbnail text, we can see right now we have a lot of text. When I like to look at like kind of do my own eye tracking when I look at a thumbnail and be like, where do my eyes go to first? When I look at this thumbnail, my eyes go here, then my eyes go kind of like to this statue. I don't even look at you. And then my eyes go over to this face. Then my eyes look at this. Then my eyes look at this like top text. I think any thumbnail text that you have should be minimal to support the main character of your thumbnail. So in this case, if the main character is you, the text "no film degree pointing at you" supports you. Here, film jobs without a film school, it tells you what the video is about, but I would rather have this framing in the title itself. And this text up here is so small that most people are not going to read it at all. So it's just kind of like taking up space in that way and cluttering up your thumbnail. So I would take out all that text and just kind of frame it in a different way. So when I say this, you don't know what I'm highlighting? Oh, you guys see my, maybe you don't. This meaning like bottom text and this meaning top text. Or yeah, I'll try to narrate more. You can't see the mouse. Got it. I'll try to talk more out loud. That's good to know. But thank you so much, Erica. Again, like thank you so much for your submission. Again, I think that the video concept itself is great. I think it's a video that can help a lot of people. A lot of people are very interested in the thing that you're doing. I would just make those changes to the title and thumbnail just to make sure that when someone sees this title and thumbnail, they know exactly what sort of value that they're going to get when they click on your video itself. So thank you so much, Erica. Great job. And yeah, okay, cool. That's that one. Let's go back. Dun, dun, dun. Ooh. Okay, we're seeing more. Let's do, so that was like an educational one. Oh, delete this. Cool. Let's do this one next. I think this is quite interesting. Yay, I'm so glad you found it helpful, Erica. Okay, this one. This is so badass. I love this. Okay, so this was submitted by Jordan Lacey. Thank you so much, Jordan. Also, Florence, hi. Thank you for coming. cutting a bullet in half with a katana. Like, just this again, like with what I said before with the Patty Galloway quote of like, there's no boring way to tell someone that you won the lottery. This is a prime example of this. That's just so freaking cool. You cut a bullet in half with a katana? Like, that's awesome. So I think the idea itself, like just the spectacle, everyone can envision like that slice and like what you're talking about there. So, I mentioned, I don't love like the ing, the gerunds in titles. This might be an exception because again, it's like when you have just like such a good idea like that, the simplest way to frame it is typically what's best for the title. So just like plainly saying what you did. If I were to like, there are things to maybe try. Like I tried cutting a bullet in half with a katana, but even that, it's like I don't know because like you can see that you did it, or just like I cut a bullet in half with a katana. But honestly, in this case, just like cutting again, I don't typically like gerunds, but in this case, I think this is pretty badass. Like I think this is dope. And you like instantly get the idea of what this is. I think that's a very strong concept. I would say pretty strong title as well. And then we look at the thumbnail and like Jordan, your name's Jordan, right? Jordan, this is awesome. Like I really enjoy this thumbnail because of how real it is, right? Like we talked about moment thumbnails earlier and how it captures the moment right before a powerful action or reaction. And you can see here, you're like caught in the moment of like, you can even see the little like expression and like strain in your face as you're cutting it. The I did it is just right there in your face. Like I love, and then the circle of like showing what's happening. I think this is all great. I think if I were to give you any small tweaks, um, one would be maybe adding like an arrow just to put a little bit more emphasis, like maybe from the I did it to the circle because the circle is a little bit small. So just a little bit more to like trace the eye direction, guide the eye directly to that main character of the slice happening. Maybe. The other thing I would consider is if you can try to remove the text on your shirt. Right now, it looks like this image was mirrored, so the text is backwards, and just like the text being backwards and on your shirt in that way just draws a little bit of attention away from that main character. So I'd probably just like use an AI tool to see if you could just remove the text from your shirt. Um, but yeah, I mean, otherwise, I think that this is again awesome. I would maybe consider adding just a little bit of like a stroke or like an outline to your text, just because some of the background is a little bit lighter colored, so it could potentially pop a little bit more. Although maybe scratch that because even in small mode, you see the text come up quite a lot. So potentially your text is fine as is, but you can see again, like in small mode, you don't quite have as much like I would want just a little like a red arrow or something helping to point out what is happening here just to guide the eye. But like those are really small tweaks. Like I'm stretching here to find things to critique with this. Like Jordan, you killed it. I think this is a good one. And congratulations on cutting a bullet in half with a katana. Like I think that's just a phenomenal feat and you make me want to try. So I would definitely click on this. Some people are saying zooming into the bullet. Yeah, so I know, I think Mark Rober has done this before actually. So we can switch to like, so here, we can see some like this type of thing I think you guys are talking about, right? Of like showing the thing small, but showing it like blown up. Um, in general, like it still works if something's small though. Like you can still just circle it. I think you could do an option if it's blown up like that, but I do think that yeah, because it's just like this is just a bit small. I would try to see too if you could just like shift it a little bit more. 'Cause something else that we think about with like attention and like eye tracking is where things are like compositionally focused. So in this case, right now it's kind of on the right third line, but I would try to shift it so that the action itself is more towards the middle if you can. I don't know if you have the extra space within your frame to like shift you over, but just to shift it all a bit over so it's more centered. But yeah, I just think that like a red arrow, you could try to enlarge at that point. There might be too many elements. So if you wanted to try like a zoomed up version, I would maybe get rid of the text I did and then just have like the zoomed in version in this bottom left corner. But again, honestly, like I think that's worth an A/B test potentially. But as is, again, I think that this is an incredible, incredible thumbnail itself. So yeah, Mike, as Joel said, Mike Shake is also really good. I think like the Mike Shake version, we can take a look at Mike Shake here. Mike Shake has really cool, like, I would say this style, I would say they are moment thumbnails, but they're often like, I guess, enhanced moment thumbnails where you can see it's like, oh, like, you know, this is also so cool, by the way. Like you see the slingshot and then you scroll over and you see like him slingshotting. Like that's such a good autoplay. But like, you know, you can see like in the moment of the thing happening, that's something to consider, like this sort of thing, right? Like you stop a bullet with an arrow and you kind of see it's like an enhanced version. That's another way you could take it, is try to like enhance and zoom in and blow up and make it a little bit more like dramatic or like intensified. But I really do quite like the oh, did I not share anything? Oops. Okay. This is what I'm talking about. Sorry guys. It's my first stream. Forgive me. This is the like slingshot that I'm talking about here. Like this, like you can scroll over in this way. And then this is what I was talking about with like the stopping a bullet with an arrow. So as you can see how it's like dramatized in that way. Yeah. So it's like that's like a version that we could do there. But again, I do think that there's something quite attractive about like the IRL snapshot of this versus the dramatized version of it. Again, I think it's worth an A/B test to see, but again, I quite like this one. So good job. Great work. Jordan, you killed it. Okay. That's that one. Woo. Okay. Oh, thank you so much, Erica. I really appreciate it. All right. What should we do next? Let's do this one. Just join already learning new stuff. Thank you so much for joining. Thank you for being here. Okay. Let's do yes, something in the art. Okay, we do something in the arts after. I like this one because I have like a point to bring up here. So this one is from my I'm so sorry if I'm not pronouncing that correctly. And this is having someone guess the characters' names and objects they've never seen before. I would assume in Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z. I would assume Dragon Ball Z. I don't know if there's a Dragon Ball that's not Dragon Ball Z.
Yeah, there is.
There's Dragon Ball that's not Dragon Ball Z?
Yep.
You learn new things every day, folks. Okay. So, yeah. I want to bring this up because I know a lot of this stream so far has been talking about specifically titles and thumbnails and ways to make those better. For this one, I want to get a little bit deeper into the idea itself. So you see like the framing of like my friend guesses Dragon Ball characters. And if we bring up the like idea infographic again, kind of looking at this criteria, feasible? Yeah, it's absolutely feasible. Can you guys see my mouse? Hopefully you can see my mouse. Feasible. If you can't, we're talking about the rightmost pinkish slot. So feasibility, it is feasible. This one though, new audience interest. If someone had no idea who you are, would they still be interested in it? And that's where I think that this particular idea might run into some problems. So going back to the idea itself, my friend guesses Dragon Ball characters. Why would someone care about your friend if they had no idea who you are and no idea who the friend is. There's not a very strong reason to click there because what sort of value are they getting out of it? So that's kind of a framing that I would consider when looking at the idea. It's like, okay, well, people might not really care about me if they've never seen me before. People won't care about my friend if they've never seen me before. What would people care about? And I'm going to look again at like the open loops infographic and kind of see like, are there different ways we could frame things based off of this? And actually, no, I have a better example. Let's go back to this. So this is like the ideas infographic again, and down here I have something called angle. So this is like what angle of your idea you can take. We've talked about superlatives a lot during the stream. It's like stakes of adding money. So this is kind of where I would think about what are ways we could do this. So you could like a completely separate framing could be like ranking the best and worst. It could be superlatives. You could add stakes. So if like, you know, my friend like gets certain amount of like money or something for every character he guesses right. That's adding some sort of stakes. That's like a reason to click. You could also have, I like this like beginner. Oh, I don't think you, oh, you can see my mouse. I don't know why you didn't see my mouse last time. You have this beginner angle as well of like, what's something like someone, I don't know a way to phrase this, but kind of getting at the point of like someone who's never seen Dragon Ball guesses Dragon Ball characters. Do you have thoughts here, Joel?
Not sure if it's the best thought, but even using something that is similar to the friend but automatically gives that context of beginner, like my mom or my dad or a parent, like automatically there's like, okay, someone older isn't going to know who it is and they might have a funny reaction. Or my grandma, the more extreme, maybe a little bit better. My grandma reacts to names Dragon Ball Z characters. It just creates a little bit of curiosity there. It's like, okay, I know she's not going to know anything about Dragon Ball Z. Versus your friend, we don't know if they're familiar with characters, if they like anime, if they don't. So yeah, so that's one that I think.
I really, really, really like that actually, because I'm like exactly what you were saying, right? The friend. Oh, also, if you're if you're just joining the stream now and you weren't here for the introduction, this is Joel. Joel's my creative producer.
Hey,
he's here visiting this week, which is so fun. And it's like just such a treat that he's able to be here for this. He's been helping a lot on the chat that you guys have seen him in. But yeah, he's like absolutely like truly don't know what I would do without him at this point. He's on the team for what, like three and a half, three-ish months at this point, which has been wild. But like
time's flying.
Yeah, no, at this point we do like everything on the channel together. So this is Joel if you haven't met him yet. But yeah, he's been crushing it. So much love to Joel. But yeah, I think that like exactly what Joel was saying, true. My friend guesses Dragon Ball characters, so there's not enough like, you know, the assumption of okay, well your friend like they might not know, but they might know versus grandma, mom, boss. I think those are things that are more interesting to look at. Let me just like glance at the chat real quick. Click on this video because loves anime. It's a person who made this Dragon Ball idea only wants to be known in Dragon Ball community, but this wants to be known. The person who made this Dragon Ball idea only wants to be known within their Dragon Ball community. Would this video still work? Yeah, I mean, like, yeah, if it was just like a Dragon Ball related channel, I think this would still work. But again, like I wouldn't say, I still wouldn't use my friend. I would use like grandma or something else like that. Let's see. So that's kind of overall thoughts on idea. Let's talk about packaging real quick. I know we've talked a little bit about title already. If we look at the thumbnail, I agree. It's like if it has anything to do with like a reaction type of video where someone is guessing or reacting to someone. I know someone said in the chat earlier, like you want that like friend's reactive face on the thumbnail. I agree 100%. I think because it's like that's what you're clicking for, right? It's like the kind of weirdness and absurdity of a lot of the Dragon Ball characters and what someone's witnessing for the first time, what their reaction is to that. So I would definitely look at like reaction thumbnails for inspiration here. Have, let's say we pivoted this idea to grandma, like have grandma there and grandma's like reaction, like confused or bewildered look as she's like looking at maybe like a well-known weird character from Dragon Ball, and maybe even like some text coming from her that like, you know, is a phrase of what she said, or like, you know, what in the ... or like something else in which she said, or like what is that question mark, and looking at that. That's like a real, again, we kind of talked about those moment thumbnails, clicking to see that moment when she reacts to the weird character. People are mentioning light and dark mode. I know Joelle mentioned that as well. Yeah, just in terms of color, again, if we pop into the preview tool, take a look at these, we can click like day mode. It just kind of like disappears, which most people just kind of will like breeze over this a little bit. And I mean, yeah, and just kind of start looking at other ones that have backgrounds. We can look at like the homepage too. It can be kind of neat, but in general, I would like to have, even if it's just like a very like light color or light gray, just not the exact same white that just completely blends into the white mode YouTube background. So yeah, that's that one. Thank you so much for submitting your idea, Mai. Thank you. Hope that was helpful to you. How my noob friend reacts to Dragon Ball Z? Yeah, I think like, yes, if you really wanted it to be your friend, but just have to add some sort of modifier to make it clear that like they've never watched it before. You could also do that in the thumbnail as well, like a little like arrow with an indicator of like never seen the show. But again, like I would prefer to see that in the title without having to reference the thumbnail to be able to understand the concept right from the bat. Yeah. All right, that's that one. Woo. Bonus points if Aprilynne names his character correctly. Dragon Ball Z. I think like, I don't know. The only Dragon Ball Z character I didn't know that there's more than just Dragon Ball Z. I thought it was, I mean, I thought Dragon Ball Z was it. I didn't know there were more Dragon Balls. But I was like, I know Goku. That's Dragon Ball Z character. Okay. So sorry to let you all down. Okay. Let's see. Which one do you want to do next? Let's do this one. So kind of like, you know, like switching niches and formats entirely. We just went from like a friend reacts to, what is this one? This one is a lesson video, where I break down the most popular way of learning and understanding the guitar neck, why it's insufficient, and what to do instead. It's like very different type of video we're going to now. This is from Jake. Thank you, Jake. And yeah, the first thing that pops into my mind here, Killer Chronicles is saying it right now. What is caged? And let's take a look at the ideas infographic once again. And we are once more going to look at the pink panel over here on the right that says criteria. Feasibility, I think is definitely feasible. New audience interest. And I think overall, and kind of, I guess, like let's look like let's think about like topic validation as well. The thing I would say with this topic is a question of who is your audience and what is your view goal. So in this case, if your view goal is 1 million views, for instance, you would have to ask yourself, okay, do 1 million people know what caged is? I don't know what caged is. Joelle didn't know what caged is. Killer Chronicles didn't know what caged is. That being said, maybe within your specific niche, a lot of people know what caged is, and maybe we just don't know. I know you mentioned that it's like the most popular way of learning and understanding the guitar neck. So if you're thinking about like a big idea, if you want like 1 million views on this, I would even like try to validate that topic by going onto YouTube and looking at like caged guitar method. Let's see. Okay, so we have Cage System Made Easy. That one has 261,000 views. Let's look at these. This one has 120. Hey, the Cage System in under 10 minutes, 2.4 million views. This was 7 years ago, so I wouldn't judge it. I would prefer to see a more recent video that has gotten that many views, and maybe they do. This was 12 million views 5 years ago. Okay, 4 million views for over 40 still don't know Cage. Do this. This is more like I like this because it's like, oh, this is what Caged is, and insinuating that you should know what it is and you're going to watch it. You're going to click because you should know what it is, even though you don't. But and this one is like how to use the Cage system to play a solo. So maybe people are clicking because they want to play a solo. But the Cage system in under 10 minutes, there's still maybe some idea of people who know what it is. But that's kind of the main thing that I would consider here is, does everybody already know what Caged is? Or if they don't, and if you still want to capture people who don't know what it is there a way to frame your video like the other ones that we saw with I'm going to share this because like we see this one. The Cage system actually sucks. 39,000 views, Cage system is failure. I'm not saying that like this is like representative of everything, but this one is something that is not adding what the Cage system is. Like this one is like play a solo. You don't know what it is, but you should. This one is teaching it in under 10 minutes. But saying it actually sucks, which is kind of a similar framing of what you're going for, which is like the problem with Caged, didn't get that many views from someone who, if we click on them, we can see like again, and this is the process that I look at when validating a topic, by the way, is like I look at like what other ones have done and how it's performed for them. So this is someone with 739K subscribers. I think this video was from 10 months ago. So I'm like, okay, let's like look down this way here. It's not a very high performer for them, right? They've gotten some of like 6-figure views around you have like other videos that have gotten much more views. It's like okay, but in terms of a killer idea, typically I do like to see some validation of like outliers in this space, and especially one that's like a very similar framing that hasn't performed very well for someone. I'd be curious to see maybe like why hasn't this performed well for them. And maybe it's because it's the assumption that everyone knows what the Cage system is, when actually you need to add a little bit more context so that people know. But yeah, so I'm looking at the chat right now. Maybe instead of saying what it is, I can talk about what it solves. So I can have ideas. Well, I mean, I think that the framing of this is like why it's bad, like why it's insufficient, and what to do instead. So I think like a potential framing could be like, Caged doesn't work. Here's what to do instead. And then maybe like instead of like, I do like the like clean minimalism this like thumbnail as well. I think it's quite attractive. But maybe I would like point to the guitar neck and being like a better way to learn, period. Right. And it's like that's like all lowercase, maybe on like the top. Because that like it tells you that's about Cage, but it also tells you the promise of the thing that you're going to learn that's going to be better. And that's kind of the additional context for everyone who may be a little bit familiar with Cage, but doesn't really know what Caged is. I regret learning guitar with a Cage system. I like that one. Popping us back to the power words, calling these out. A great emotional power word is regret. So regrets tend to do quite well in titles as well. I like that one. Why the #1 guitar training system actually sucks. Guitar training system is a little bit wordy, but I really like that, like the direction that we're going there as well. So yeah, I like it. I like it. Or yeah, like watch this before you try Cage, or like what I wish I knew before trying Cage, and then I like that. I'd say the thing to keep in mind here is if you do use the word caged in the title, which I think you're going to, in the thumbnail instead of just caged, I think that's where I would also have the opportunity to add additional context into like what it is that you're referring to, like the guitar neck or the learning system or like learning chords or whatever it is that like the cage system is. Guitar elitists have been lying to you. Lying to you, I think, is also like I like that. And that's kind of like where if you had that as the title, then you could have caged in the thumbnail because then it's like you have the framing already and then you can see cage like crossed out. So yeah, I just wouldn't have the unfamiliar terminology in both places. Just if you have it in one, add context in the other and vice versa. But yeah, I mean, I like the overall framing of the thumbnail. I think it's very clean. I think it's very minimal. Please keep this stream public. I was gonna take it down afterwards, but maybe I shouldn't. I was like, oh, this first stream is gonna be terrible. No one's gonna be here. I'll just take it down after. But I mean, I'm glad you guys are liking it. Okay, that's that. Oh my gosh, we have 5 minutes left.
Yeah.
Holy cow. Okay, one more. We can get through one more. Okay. Dun 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 dun. In development. Okay. Aprilynne, question about gatekeeping the thumbnail above. I think that'd be really helpful to know. I didn't see the question. I'm sorry. If you could like repeat the question in the chat, then I can answer. All right. I don't do you want to pick the last one that we do?
Ooh, the pressure.
No pressure. You can pick one.
Let me see. There's so much good ones. So apologies, guys, if we can't get to all of them because there's so many good ones here. I think the spider one maybe has potential. Yeah.
This one?
Yeah, I'm thinking that the spider one is interesting.
Okay.
I might be biased here because I'm really into movies, but
do you want to take this one away?
Sure.
Okay, so this one was submitted by I'm so sorry. River. It's a discussion about a canceled James Cameron Spider-Man movie. What was its plots? Who were in the cast? What was its progress? And what went wrong?
Awesome. So right off the bat, I really like the placement of the thumbnail of just like prioritizing Leonardo DiCaprio, and there creates like a strong curiosity gap. One suggestion with the thumbnail though is you can see a little bit of the Spider-Man outfit, but I'd make it just maybe a little bit less of his face and a little bit more, maybe like a little bit smaller, so you can like quickly understand, okay, this is Leo DiCaprio and it's Spider-Man. This is something I've never seen before. And would just like minimize that quick like gap between understanding what the video is about and looking at it. So I think that's one element that I'd incorporate there. When it comes to the thumbnail, also you have some text repeating back and forth between kind of like the thumbnail and the title. So yeah, I'd play around again with what's visually more attractive is just like having Spider-Man there in big versus like showing a little bit more of his costume and some more visuals. I think it is a key factor there. When it comes to the title, currently Spider-Man movie that you will never see. I think it's good, but you're missing a "the" before it. So I think it's the Spider-Man movie that you will never see. So might just be like a language gap there, but like I think that would just like push it over. I also don't think it's hyphenated. So just ensuring that it kind of matches with like kind of what the user is expecting to read there. And potentially capitalizing never as a power word, I think could just like, again, like draw vision over to that and draw a lot of curiosity. So I think those are generally my main points when it comes to this one. Also maybe a little bit more contrast or brightness. Spider-Man's known for, it's like comic book and stuff like that. So a little bit of those elements could be included a little bit more of like maybe his iconic colors again, just bringing in the, oh, this is Spider-Man, this is comic book related, this is movie related a little bit quicker. But yeah, I think you have a really solid concept. I'm interested in in this type of idea. I'd watch this type of video, and I think with those couple of tweaks, it'd take it over the edge. It'd be really powerful. Curious if you have any additional thoughts.
Spider-Man is correct with the hyphen. You're not a real fan.
Oh my gosh! Oh, I'm gonna have to look up. I'm gonna have to look up that one up.
Yeah, I mean, I +1 to a lot of what you said. Yeah, I like the. Someone else in the chat mentioned, and I thought about this as well when I first saw this, is that the inconsistent language. So if this, like, I would try to match like what is the like language of the like that the video is in, and then matching that with the language both in the thumbnail and the title. I wouldn't mix them. I think based off of this channel, when I glanced at it before, I think typically they're in a different language. I will say when it comes to like idea, topic, and overall reach, obviously videos that are not in English are not going to have as big of a reach because not as many people are going to speak that versus English. Obviously that's okay. Like if you don't feel comfortable speaking in English, I'm not going to be like, you have to speak English or else. But just something to keep in mind when thinking about like the expectations for view potential within a space. I think apart from language, idea-wise, view potential, I think that this is great. I think a lot of people are familiar with the Spider-Man franchise. A lot of people are familiar with Leonardo DiCaprio. The like mixture of them both is just quite captivating. I'm hooked. I also quite like the thumbnail design as well. I really like the like contrast between the like the real life Leonardo DiCaprio and then like the background like hand drawn elements there. I think it's just like a quite aesthetic, visually appealing thumbnail as is. One thing, and you guys can't really see this right now. Okay, I made it big. I see you have like a little like logo on the bottom left and the top right. I don't think you need two. I don't think you even need one, but if you really want to have one, just have one, but I wouldn't put two there. I think two is a little bit overkill in terms of like adding logos to a thumbnail. But yeah, I mean, overall, I think that it's like a very strong idea. Just a little bit, maybe like add the word the. I like capitalizing the never. And just like a lot of what Joelle said, I think is spot on. So
yeah. When it comes to comparables, so just last thing there, I think something that comes to mind is a channel called Dodford. That's called Dodford, where I'm just thinking a thumbnail in that style could maybe elevate this type of video too, and where it's a more central figure when it comes to like the focus is on Leonardo DiCaprio, and then we have some of like the elements in the background highlight that it's like comic book related and stuff like that. And just goes to show too that you don't always need the phrases or words in your thumbnail either to create a striking image that works.
Awesome. Okay, well, I think that was. Let's bring this up. Man, this is this. All right, guys. Thank you so much for just being here. That was all the ones that we could get through today. If yours did not get gotten to today, first of all, I'm sorry. Second of all, thank you for submitting anyway. And third of all, yeah, just like let me know. It seems like you guys really want to do more of these in the future, which is awesome news. So if you want to do that, we can do more. It seems like people want to do more. We can do more in the future. But yeah, just before you go, make sure you sign up for Spotter Studio. Joelle can put the link in the chat again, so that you guys can submit your idea to win. Because if you like this, you're going to love doing this literally in person in Los Angeles with myself and Colin and Samir and Jon Youshaei, because that's us. And you can come to LA. And all you have to do is just add 10 ideas to your Spotter Studio idea bank. Again, it's free. Literally free. You can just add it on your free trial, and the top 9 will be flown out to Los Angeles to meet up with us. So again, everybody, thank you so much for being here. I'm so glad you liked it. Oh, Rivera's in the chat, of course. That was a great thumbnail. And yeah, hope you guys all like Joelle as well. He's been killing it behind the scenes. But yeah, thank you. Like truly, guys, thank you so much for being here. And I'll put out like a community post probably at some point to gauge interest on like further ones of these. But really appreciate you. Now it's time for me to figure out how to end the stream. Bye, everybody. Thank you for being here. Bye.